Hello, this is Tanya,
Carlos,
and Morgan,
reporting live on History on the Go in NPR 73.6 FM. Today, discussing degradation of Native Americans and looking into their life on a reservation and their education. Before, their education was very poor, but looking into the future, we can see change and hope for Native Americans now that they can live anywhere in America. Tuesday afternoon, a drive through the Spokane Reservation, we see the local school. Native Americans in second-hand clothes, drunkards, and a group of Native American boys playing soccer barefoot surrounded by worn-down houses. The Native Americans were put in reservations because most Americans saw them as an obstacle to America's growth. Today, there are more than 500,000 Native Americans in the United States and millions more elsewhere in the Americas. Still trying to cope with adjustment to white civilization, they are in all stages of development. A few have made money from oil and other natural sources found on their lands, but many live at near starvation levels. Relocation programs have taken hundreds of Native Americans to work in cities. Thousands of others cling to the security of their reservations, hoping to gain education and assistance necessary to develop the resources of their land and become self-sustaining. Generally, the Native Americans are still proud of their traditions and heritage, but Native Americans generally also recognize that their standards of living must be raised.
we stopped by a small house, which is the Spirit family's house. From one side of the street, we see a small house, and it doesn't seem so safe. It's not well painted, and it has crumbling bricks. We go over and knock on the front door, and a drunk man with a beer belly and an unshaved beard opens the door. We try and respond that we want to talk to Arnold's spirit, but Arnold cuts us off, coming over and telling his dad he will take over from there. He invites us in, and all we see are plastic chairs, tables, and a room door open to see the mattresses on the floor. Arnold, who is also known as Junior in the reservation, is a Native American teenager with lots of disorders, but a really good basketball player. He dropped out of the Native American school, Welpinit, to go to the white school, Reading, because his teacher inspired him. So Arnold, how does it feel to be a Native American in a white school?
at the start in Raritan it was difficult, I admit it, but there was no way back. Roddy, my best friend, was angry, and my parents wouldn't let me change back to my old school. Well, Pitted, I just had to accustom. Now I feel popular. I can talk to everyone without him or her saying, "Get out of my way, Redskin."
Which school do you prefer, Reading or Welpinit? Why did you leave Welpinit?
I actually like Raritan way better. Penelope and Roger know I'm poor and that I'm a Native American. I don't get bullied about it. They are actually my friends. But in Welpinit, even though I'm a Native American, like them, I got bullied. Also, the education in Raritan is better. Even though it's a small town, it's great, and I can do something with my life. I have dreams, and I can live up to them. Just like my sister before she died and after she got married, she was independent and she got the chance to see what the real world looks like from other perspectives than the basement.
As we were concluding the interview, we hear a knock on the door, and Arnold gets up and answers. His face expressed he was surprised to see a man at his house. I overheard him calling him Mr. P, and then I recall that Mr. P was the teacher who inspired Arnold to go to Reading. I was happy to see him because now I could ask him some questions too. I walk over there and they look at me weirdly. I introduce myself and I ask if I can talk with him, and very kindly he agrees. We go out to the back porch, and we all three sit down there. Mr. P and Arnold start talking about Reading, but then there is silence, so I start asking Mr. P. So, Mr. P, we heard about your little conversation with Arnold, and you said, I quote, "We are supposed to kill the Native Americans to save the child." What did you mean by this?
I didn't mean to kill the Native Americans to save the child literally. What I mean is we were meant to make them give up being a Native American. The culture, the songs, the stories, the dancing and the language, but that was back in the bad days. I used to treat them really bad and I regret it all now.
Why did you choose Arnold to find hope? Why not any other kid?
I chose Arnold because he's a smart kid. He has hopes and dreams, and I know that if he stays here, he will end up like everyone else here. He has to go out, he has to bring pride to this reservation. He deserves better than this, and he can do something with his life. On the whole, the kids who go to Wilpinter are just for pastime. We all know how the kids in the rest are going to end up. They are going to end up like their parents, even though they have hopes and dreams. They're going to be crushed because they keep saying on the rest, and on the rest, you can succeed and fulfill your dreams.
Well, thank you both for being so kind and answering our questions. We have learned about degradation of Native Americans, especially in the perspective of education. In the future, we see a change and hope for Native Americans because now they can live all over America, although some choose to stay in the reservations. Thank you for listening. It was a great show with great guests. Until next time, it's MPR 73.6. Goodbye.